Tak, pokazuje, że się nagrywa i że jest udostępniane.
Okej,
A
dobra.
little bit, yeah.
Zaczynamy. Dobry wieczór, witam wszystkich serdecznie na drugiej, pierwszej w tym roku degustacji w Masterclassie. Natomiast drugiej z tą marką MHOBA z Republiki Południowej Afryki. Jest mi niezwykle miło, że po raz drugi się widzimy, a szczególnie tak licznie. Jeszcze kolejni goście dochodzą, czy tam dołączają. Natomiast mamy dość nietypową tą degustację dzisiaj, dlatego że gdy zaczynaliśmy rozmowę z Sheldоnem oj ze 2-3 miesiące, 3 miesiące temu, może 4 nawet, to zależało mi bardzo, żeby to było coś maksymalnie nietypowego, jakie tylko może być. Pierwszym kryterium, najważniejszym dla mnie było to, aby nie było to coś dostępnego w rynku. No bo poprzednim razem podzieliliśmy to na pół, mniej więcej tam było, że to było pół takich rzeczy, które są dostępne w rynku, pół nie. Teraz chciałem zrobić to w formie takiego trochę degustacji, trochę masterclassa jako takiego oraz trochę warsztatów, tak abyśmy mogli wczuć się w pewnym sensie w ich codzienną pracę, tak? Czyli coś, co oni mają, czy w tankach, w nierdzewkach, czy w szkle, czy w beczkach i codziennie chodzą po magazynie i próbują coś wybrać, kombinują, czy gotowe już, czy nie jeszcze. I my dzisiaj bierzemy udział właśnie w takim masterclassie. W pewnym sensie możemy poczuć się trochę jak oni. I niewykluczone, że któraś z tych rzeczy, którą tak naprawdę jesteśmy pierwszymi osobami, które piją je w takiej formie, niewykluczone, że po naszym masterclassie któraś z tych rzeczy dzięki naszemu masterclassowi ujrzy światło dzienne, tak? Może to będzie botling kogoś Polski, może to będzie botling kogoś, może to będzie botling kogoś z Europy, kto wie. Czas pokaże. Tak więc zaczynamy. Ja już miałem pierwsze kilka słów dzisiaj z Robertem i z Sheldоnem, że nie będę chciał jakoś szczególnie mocno przedłużać, więc zaczynamy. Robert, hello again. Uh, I introduced the meeting only a little bit, so the rest is yours. The power is yours. Like we talked before. Can you tell us everything from the past and from the future? What you can say us?
Okay, well, first of all, good evening, everybody. And first of all, no, Tori, I don't think our cat will be attending tonight. She's not drinking anymore. She stopped
That's
drinking.
sad.
Yeah,
I
she's a
waited a year
distiller.
for this.
She's a distillery cat, and she was developing a bit of a problem. So we've had to cut her drinking. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, Chris, thank you very much for organizing this event. We enjoyed it last time. It was great. Thank you very much for doing it again. And thank you to everybody who's attending. I don't know what I've done now. What I've made it's kind of sorry, I've changed our screen here. Okay, there we go. Not that it really matters. Um, Yeah, so I don't know how many of you attended last time. I hope I don't bore you if I repeat myself too much. But Chris has asked me to just go from the beginning. And yeah, about 10 years ago now, I started, in fact, a bit more than 10 years. We're in 2025 already. About 12 years ago, I guess, I started making rum as a hobby because we had sugarcane on our farm and business wasn't going particularly well. We were in a sort of a bit of a lull after the big financial crunch of 2008. A few years after that, things didn't go very well for us on our mining business, and farming was pretty much the only other thing we did here. And we had a lot of sugarcane, so I decided to look into what I could do with sugarcane and how I could add value to sugarcane. And yeah, I obviously quite quickly came across the idea of making rum, and yeah, started toying with that. And then I went on a holiday to Mauritius and met some people who were in the rum world and in the rum game of making rum and buying rum and enjoying rum. And I learned quite a bit about rum in Mauritius initially. And yeah, some of the things I learned there just encouraged me even more to pursue the rum thing. And I came back and I built some little stills and a little machine to make sugarcane juice out of the cane. And yeah, I made rum on a very, very small scale, tiny scale. And it was generally terrible. But the more I made it, the less terrible it got. And eventually, my older brother came to visit me from Johannesburg, and he always enjoyed his single malt whiskies. And he tried some of my rum eventually after this was a couple of months after my starting. And yeah, he told me it wasn't too terrible and I should carry on. Um, and
A
yeah,
quick
I just
question. Is it legal? Is it legal in South Africa to just experiment by yourself? Because in Poland, the law is very strict, and if we try to make some rum or whatever
yeah.
moonshine at home, technically it's very illegal.
Yeah. It is illegal here, except if you register, you can register your still. The only requirement, if you don't want to do it commercially, so in other words, if you want to make stuff for your own personal consumption, it's not illegal, but you do need to register your still. So you do need to let the government know. It's not at all expensive and it's a fairly quick, easy process, but you're not allowed to sell it. You're not allowed to give it a name. You're not allowed to bottle it commercially in any way. It's only for your own consumption. And I guess people that visit you at your house or whatever, but you're not allowed to give it away. You're not allowed to sell it. You're not allowed to
Do you need
name
to
it.
pay duty on it?
No, not at that scale, no. But you do need to pay a small fee to license your still, just so the government knows you have a still, basically. But it is very limited in terms of size. I don't know all of the details of that, but yeah, it's obviously meant for people that purely want to experiment at home and do stuff on a small scale, which is what I initially did. And then in 2016, I got confident enough to decide to pursue it commercially. And that's when we got a license for what they call a micro distillery or a micro producer of alcohol, which is quite an involved process. That getting that license is not nearly as easy as registering a still for personal production or personal distilling at home. So to get a commercial license, even a micro distillery, which allows you, I think it's 1 million liters of pure alcohol per year. We still on that license. So we are well under 1 million liters of pure alcohol per year. So we still fall under the legal category in South Africa of a micro producer of alcohol. So yeah, we got that license in 2016 and we started selling rum locally, but in very small quantities. And it did slowly grow, but we were making, by our current standards, very mild rum. It was double distilled, all of it. And it was not barrel aged. We were aging in big glass demijohns entirely, no barrel aging. It was all glass aged, or yeah, wood influenced in glass. Basically, it's not strictly speaking aging. And we were selling basically to local people who were drinking rum and coke. Yeah, it was how we started, and we actually did fairly well for a very, very small setup. We were selling up to 1,000 bottles a month, which was quite a lot, for more than I expected. And the market that I sort of attempted to sell it to actually didn't seem to be terribly interested in it, to be honest. It was more upmarket people. I was actually planning to make quite a cheap sort of entry-level product for the man in the street to buy and drink. But they were not really interested in it. So people here buying fairly cheap brandy and whiskey is who I was aiming at. And they were not really interested. It was more people like that were buying single malts and more expensive aged brandies. They turned out to be the people that were more interested in what I was doing, which kind of changed my whole plan and like who I was aiming to sell rum to. Yeah, that started my sort of direction change in terms of trying to make cheapish stuff that
Sorry,
was accessible.
uh,
Yeah,
I wanted to ask a question because you said you were letting the spirit rest in the glass
yeah.
for approximately how long when you were at that point?
Well, we were still learning, so
Yes, but
we
at
were
the
still,
beginning.
yeah, we were experimenting. I mean, even a couple of weeks in the beginning to
Okay.
try,
Okay.
and then we found out sort of about 3 to 6 months was probably about, I would say, how long we were going when we started to sell some decent amounts of it. I mean, initially, as
Okay.
I say, it was mostly for our own consumption and for testing and trying and friends and all that sort of thing. But yeah, by the time we were selling sort of 1,000 bottles, I would say we were probably up to about a year, 6 months to a year of aging.
Thank you.
And that's kind of where it stayed for that. And then, yeah, as I say, our direction changed a bit from producing for sort of your average guy to a sort of more upmarket single malt whiskey, cognac, aged brandy drinking market. They seem to be the people who were interested in my rum. And then someone suggested we go to a rum festival, a very small rum festival in Mauritius. Um, and look, I've always been experimenting with stuff. So even when we were doing the stave age stuff for a couple of months, we were also doing more and more interesting white fermentations, starting to try dunder and longer ferments. And as I said, then we got invited, well, not invited, sorry, somebody suggested we go to this rum festival in Mauritius, very small rum festival. But the main attraction for me was that they had got Ian Burrell to be the master of ceremonies. And Ian Burrell flew out to Mauritius, and I met him there in the hotel. And 50% of why I went was just to meet Ian Burrell. And I knew I'd be staying in the same hotel as him and everything. So I found him in the bar with some bottles of my more sort of interesting stuff that I felt was the best stuff I could make at that stage. And I introduced myself, and he very politely introduced himself. And I told him, you don't need to tell me who you are. I know exactly who you are. And I asked him to try my rum. And yeah, his response was amazing. Yeah, he really liked it. And yeah, for the whole event, which was 3 or 4 days long, he gave me a lot of attention. I must admit, he came to try our rums, yeah, every day for several times, and he really seemed to genuinely love the rum and the story and what we were doing. And then he said, "You got to come to the UK Rum Fest. I want you at UK Rum Fest." So yeah, that was a couple of months after the Mauritian event. So I came back to South Africa from Mauritius feeling very inspired and happy because Ian Burrell had loved my stuff and he was really impressed with what we'd done. And I think it was genuine because he said he really, really wants us in London. So about 3 or 4 months after the Mauritian thing, we flew to London and we did our first UK Rum Fest. And that was kind of the same, I guess. Everyone I met there was really positive and supportive and really liked the rum and where it came from and the whole story behind it. Like someone said to me, I really love your rum, but I love the authenticity of it, which is something I hope we always maintain, is that we make authentic, real rum without additives or any kind of misrepresentation on the bottle or in the liquid or anywhere. We want to make real, honest expressions of sugarcane. as rum, obviously, but without any bullshit. And yeah, everyone in London loved it. Luca Gargano, I met him there, and he was also a big inspiration to me. He was going crazy about the rum and saying he loved it, and he wanted to do bottling with us, and it never happened at that stage. But just the fact that he even said that was a huge compliment to me. I met Richard Seal from Foursquare, who was also very well, so very, he was complimentary. He didn't say anything negative. He was positive, and yeah, I also appreciated that. There were, yeah, a number of people from the rum world that I met in London, and they all were very complimentary and positive, and I felt, yeah, really, really inspired by that, and pumped up to keep making rum. So yeah, I came back from London and again was very inspired to carry on. We didn't manage to get any distribution in Europe at that stage, but from there on, we did Berlin Rum Fest, we did another UK Rum Fest, and soon quite a few people started talking to us in terms of distribution in Europe. And yeah, we decided to go with Le Maison de Whiskey, and that was obviously a very big changing direction for us to have a big established, well-known, respected distributor in Europe was like a game changer for us, because we were a tiny little, well, we still are tiny, but we were a tiny unknown maker of rum in the middle of nowhere in South Africa, and only selling to our local little town basically. And now we had this big fancy distributor in Paris selling some of the best liquid in the world, also buying our stuff, which was really, really, really cool. That was some of the, one of the most exciting moments of my life, was hearing that Le Maison de Whiskey wanted to sell our stuff, and then they placed an order with us. That was really awesome. I was very, very, very happy. And yeah, it's grown from there. I mean, Velia has done stuff with us now, as you know. A couple of other independent bottles have done stuff with us, and we continue to work with the Maison de Whiskey. And yeah, they're guys in America wanting to do stuff with us now. There's a growing number of people who want to do bottlings with us, which is really nice, because we are still a very unknown distillery. We're still tiny, obviously, very, very small and very, very unknown. I think the number of people that know us is still very small, and they are sort of rum geek specialty drinkers. They're not your average man in the street. But I don't think we ever want to be a brand that is catering to supermarkets and your average guy. I think we want to remain a specialty product and not become a McDonald's of rum ever. It just wouldn't interest me to make that kind of rum.
Can I
So
tattoo that?
Sorry?
Can I get that quote on my tattoo?
You can, yeah. So yeah, we still want to get bigger, obviously, and make more rum and get more well known, I guess. But as I say, remain a boutique and specialty producer of authentic, real rum. I don't think everyone in the world will ever want to drink our stuff. It's getting crazier and crazier and a bit more intense every year. But yeah, in a good way. And I think we will always appeal only to specialty, geeky type drinkers, people who are interested in something different and unique and authentic, and not just follow the crowd and drink what everyone else drinks, which is what I think particularly people here in South Africa do. People here buy and drink brands, so they drink what everyone else drinks, and stuff they see on TV or on a big billboard next to the highway. They don't drink a product. They don't taste something and think this is really good, I want to buy it because it tastes good. They buy it because they think it looks cool, or people who they know are cool drink it or something like that. They buy a brand, not a product. And I think a lot of people in the world are like that. And we will never, I think, appeal to those people. Anyway, that's kind of in a very basic nutshell how we got to where we are and where we're wanting to go. Like I say, we'd like to get bigger and obviously try and make some money and continue making really good rum. And if we don't make some money, we can't keep doing it. We've got to get more independent from other businesses we have to do at the moment in order to keep going. We don't have enough income purely from rum to only make rum. We have to still run other aspects of the business that I inherited from my father. It would be very cool if we could get the rum big enough to sustain the property and our families and everything and do well just making rum. So I think that's probably primarily my aim, is to get it big enough to be financially independent and strong enough to allow us to just keep experimenting and keep trying new things and making the best rum we can make. But we don't want to get huge. We certainly don't want to. We have no aspirations of becoming a Bacardi or a Johnny Walker.
Exactly. Yeah, sounds very good. It looks like you have a lot of luck and you did a very, very good job and you are still doing that. So just you have to keep going,
Yeah, well, we're keeping going. Sorry, I probably left quite a lot of details out somewhere and probably spent too much time on some other details, but if I remember other things, I'll mention them as we go along. But yeah, our plan is very much to keep going, and in the spirit of that, Sheldon has joined me in about 2 years ago almost now, and yeah, he's got very similar ideas and goals, I think, in terms of what he wants to achieve. He also wants to make rum, and he'd like to do well making rum. So yeah, we've got a long way to go, I think. But we've done very well. I was saying to him what we've achieved so far in under 10 years of making rum commercially is pretty cool. I don't think many people have done as well as we have in any kind of startup little distillery. We haven't gone and borrowed like $50 million and gone huge. We have done it organically, so built stuff ourselves and planted little small fields of sugarcane and slowly grown organically. We haven't, as I say, borrowed huge amounts of money and gone a sort of commercial route. We have done it, yeah, pretty much, I think, like it would have been done 100 years ago or 200 years ago, where you start small and hope it works. And if it does work, you get a little bit bigger. And if that still works, then you get a little bit bigger. And if that still works, then you get a bit bigger. And then you experiment with this and try that. And yeah, slowly you grow and learn. We learn a lot as well. I mean, we're learning all the time about rum making and farming and business. So yeah, I think we'll never stop learning and never stop experimenting and trying new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, can we start trying now your stuff tonight?
I started long ago. Okay.
Yeah.
First up is Select White, which is a single variety of sugarcane. And it's a single distillate of unaged white rum. And it's one of the first rums. So this is actually one of the first rums that I took to Mauritius. In fact, this was already around in the time that I went to Mauritius, and Ian Burrell would have tried this rum quite a long time ago when it was probably not quite as crazy as it is now. But
Wait, you said it's single distillate? but it's
Yes.
only once distilled?
Yes, yeah.
Or
All of our rums are
oh,
pretty much now only ones distilled. We do still do
okay.
some double distillate, but very little, if any of that, makes it to Europe. It's mostly sold here in South Africa.
Thanks.
So this is, yeah, Select White Rum, which is something I came up with right near the beginning. And its primary sort of feature is that it is very much selected. So in other words, it is specific cuts of quite a few different batches, often of our normal wild ferment white rum. It was initially not wild ferment, so I need to correct myself there. In the old days, it was actually commercial yeast that we used, but what about 2 or 3 years ago, we've started going off yeast, and we are now completely wild ferment. Everything is wild ferment now. But the reason it's called Select White is because it is very specific selections of cuts of our white rum. But it's no dunder at all. It's just pure cane juice. So it's 100% cane juice from a single variety of sugar cane called N49. And it's one of the few varieties that we grow. But as I say, it's called Select White because it's very much selected. So we have a specific sort of profile that we are aiming for on this rum, and we cherry pick specific cuts of rum to try and get to this profile of rum in the style of rum that we want. So this is not, I think this is quite a bit stronger than what we would normally bottle it at. What do we bottle at?
Bottle at 52.
52,
58,
58, I think, yeah, 58. This is definitely a lot stronger than that.
Yeah.
So this is probably quite intense. As I say, the bottlings that go to Europe are substantially lower ABV than this. So this is quite potent. Obviously, there's a lot of alcohol and acetone type solvent notes on the nose. But I also, from a sort of further distance, I get a bit of strawberry jam. I've always got a hint of sort of overripe strawberry jam on our white rum, which I really like. And Sheldon was saying earlier, he gets guava. So there's a bit of ripe fruit and, yeah, a lot of solvents, particularly if your nose gets too close to the glass. It's very intense.
So 59.7%.
This one, really?
Quite close.
Shit, I thought this was going to be in the 60s. Okay. Right.
This sample might be different. There's
I don't.
the same batch, just
Okay. All right. Yeah. Apparently, Sheldon was very sensible, and he did dilute your samples to something reasonable, which was below 60. But I don't believe mine is below 60.
It's like only 3 of them below 60. Will this be in this year, 2025 daiquiri contest by Christopher?
Sorry, what was that? 2025?
Yeah, daiquiri contest. We have daiquiri contest every year, and this is like top 20 easily just by having this first sample.
Okay.
So grand finale.
I'm glad. We're already in the final. It didn't take long.
Yeah, because when you start to have the sample number 1 on this level.
So, Mac, let me work a little bit with this project. Let me decide.
Okay, and then on the palate, I get a lot of brown sugar, a bit of caramelized sugar. Again, more ripe fruit than we used to get with our commercial yeast. Sheldon is very good at spotting notes, and I'm glad to see he's pouring himself some. So he's going to tell you guys what he tastes now.
Quite often on our white, we do get a lot of like fresh whipped cream notes in the background. It's quite saline and salty,
Mm,
almost a bit of brininess.
yeah.
Quite common in all of our rums, actually.
And a bit of oily mouthfeel, like you say, a creamy, oily mouthfeel. And the apple, you also say we get a lot of green apple. On the palate, I get a bit of green apple.
Yeah, jam a lot.
Mm. It's where on the nose I get jam quite a bit. So that's basically our lightest rum that we send to Europe, white rum. So that's our we did do a lighter rum which was called pot stilled white, but that was discontinued. It was double distilled and quite a lot lighter. And yeah, I La Maison de Whiskey decided to discontinue it, and I don't blame them. I'm actually glad they did. It just doesn't fit in with the rest of our rums, all quite big, bold, crazy rums, crazy spirits. So that one was kind of a bit out of place, to be honest. It was I don't think it's also worth shipping all the way to Europe, to be honest. It's still something we sell here in South Africa, but in my opinion, it's not that exceptional. So I'm not surprised we're not selling it there anymore. So at the moment, this is our entry level white going to Europe, at least. We do a lighter white, but as I say, it's only sold in SA. And it's the only white that doesn't have any addition of organic acid before we ferment, or during or before fermentation. So it's our only pure juice white, in fact, that's sent to Europe. It's 100% juice. Look, the other rums are also pure juice, but they do have the addition of dunder or cane vinegar, which obviously alters the profile quite a bit in the aim of increasing the ester count. But this is, as I say, 100% pure cane juice, and I like to call it the essence of our sugar cane. It's as I say, there's no additives, no dunder, no acid. It's just our cane juice fermented for 7 days. It's it has the least sort of intervention. It's just it's the purest expression, I guess, of our sugar cane. It's unaltered. It's just fermented and distilled, and then we choose the cuts we really like. And that's it.
Hi, Robert. Good evening.
Hi.
Is this?
You're back again.
I'm back in England, unfortunately. It's bloody freezing.
They kick you off the island already.
It'll happen.
That didn't last long.
Where you said you send this to Europe, in bulk, or is this bottled and sent to Europe?
Bottled.
Okay.
Select white. It's our green label white. It's got like a greenish background on the label.
Yeah.
But this one with green label is about 42 ABV or something like that, or some.
No. It's I think 58.
I don't know if you said euros.
Yeah.
Euros. Sorry, do you say euros or percent? Sorry,
No. ABV, euro, percentage.
Yeah, that's 58, I think. Sorry, I've forgotten these things already.
Yeah, it's 58.
58, yeah. Yeah, it's 58. So, and Sheldon tells me the samples that were sent to you guys were at 59.67. So just under 60. So yours that you're trying now is just slightly stronger than the stuff we bought for Europe. Finish? I don't know what I'm.
You know that freshly cut like sugar cane, that big ass taste almost like hay.
Yeah, grassy.
Digital.
When you
Yeah,
leave
it's
the
quite dry.
when you leave the glass without rum inside, you can start to feel grassy.
Yes, yeah. It's more vegetal, plant-like, and drier. A lot of the
Lubczyk.
sweeter. Sorry?
I don't know how to say it in English. Maybe I will check, but I smell like a specific herb in it.
Okay.
Or anybody knows how
And
lubczyk
then
is in English?
mint. Mint is also quite often.
Not mint.
It's lowacz. It's something in Polish. In Poland we use it for soups, for example, and I can smell it here.
Okay.
No pachnie takie magii trochę.
Magii, jak najbardziej.
O,
Wiesz, o którym? O pierwszym?
tak. Takim lubczykiem.
Kto tam jeszcze magii czuje, bo tu nie zauważyłem, kto
No
tam...
bo inaczej, bardziej mówię, że lubczyk, to nie? Tylko porównałam do magii, żeby ludzie.
Okej.
I
Ja
don't feel
ja zawsze to w żart obracam na jakichś
Yes.
degustacjach. Nawet jak poczujesz lubczyk i magii, to ci uwierzę.
A co ja czuję? No
tak,
serio.
tak.
Drink too much, I'm gonna get hammered again.
There's this signature MHOBA scent that I can never put my finger on, and it's something like glue. It's not paint. It's not Jamaican paint acetone. It's a different kind of a chemical, very pleasant, but also I can say it's MHOBA from 2 miles away. It's just it's so distinctive.
I'm glad we've got a cat. Not our cat, but there is a cat
There's a
in
case,
attendance.
yeah. She's
wish
got
were
a liver
fulfilled.
problem though, so she's also banned from drinking.
No, you did right. MHOBA does have a very signature nose to it. There is a as you called it, a MHOBA scent, which is unique. Well, it's not only the scent, the rum, it just does have a signature, which I think any really sort of authentic kind of terroir-driven product will have that. It has kind of a DNA or like a kind of basic soul that all expressions should have. And I'm very glad we have that, and it's cool that people can pick that up. That there is a kind of MHOBA backbone signature. I think Hamden is a lot like that as well. There's just something about them that are different, and it's kind of still common to most, if not all, their expressions or releases. Is everyone ready to go on to the next one, or are we still?
I just wanted to say that I don't know if anybody said this before, but for me, in the first one of the most significant things in the taste is that it's spicy. No,
Yes.
I mean, I feel spices, and it's piquant. Yeah. And the finish is very fine because you feel the spiciness, like it's deteriorate, but very, very slowly.
Yeah.
It's a very pleasant feeling.
You're right. I was going to mention spiciness. I can't put my finger on exactly what spice, but there is a very spicy. Even from entry to me, I get a spice. Even from it entering the mouth, I get spiciness. And that does kind of linger all the way through to the finish. I can't say exactly what spice, but there is a nondescript spiciness to it. And as it evolves,
a bit of
from
pepper, but I feel something like you were overdo spices for gingerbread. Then it gets a bit spicy, and for me it's something like that.
Yeah, what the spiciness, as I say, is there from sort of mouth entry all the way through to the finish. And it kind of evolves for me from sweet to kind of a dry, sort of plant-like herbaceous finish, but the spiciness is there the whole time. And I find that with quite a lot of real rums that are not sugared, yeah, they can have a sweet sort of taste to them, but there is no sugar in there, but you still have this sort of character of sweetness that almost appears to be sweet. But it usually evolves into a dryness afterwards. Whereas I find if you drink sugared products, the sweetness lingers, like the sweetness doesn't go away. Like you get this sweetness that persists through to the finish. Whereas I often find, as I say, rums that are not sweetened and are my kind of rums, there's kind of an evolution from this, as I say, character of sweetness through to a dryness on the finish.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm super curious. What do you think about the next one? Because I'm also try all of these rums tonight, first time. I have an occasion to do that before. I only smelled them, but yeah, I'm super curious about the next one, especially when you try it.
The next one is GHE
Yes.
M49.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the GHE stands for?
My friend and colleague here has named it after me. So because it was the kind of initial one, it was the initial high ester recipe. He's called it Greaves high ester. So instead of original high ester, it's a Greaves high ester. So the G is for Greaves. I gather I didn't put the names on there. Sheldon did, but I have heard rumor that it's Greaves high ester. Okay, so this is the first sort of original recipe that we followed to deviate from pure cane juice. In other words, to start trying pushing the boundaries a bit in terms of ester counts and making, yeah, perhaps more, hopefully more interesting rum. And it was Dunder, which was, or Vinasse, as they often call in the juice rum industry. It's basically the sort of vinegar that forms from all your leftover batches. So in other words, when you finished distilling, whatever's left in the still gets dumped into a big tank, and you just keep it there. And slowly but surely, bacteria and obviously other microbes get in there and start inhabiting the tank and eating whatever is in the leftovers from your distillation. So all the dead yeast and any leftover sugars and fibers from the sugar cane and any nutrition obviously that's left in the spent wash, gets acted on by these microbes, and primarily bacteria start to form organic acids. So it gets the pH gets lower and lower and lower, and it gets more and more acidic as these bacteria feed upon whatever they can find, and their output, instead of alcohol that the yeast make, their output is organic acid. And yeah, it becomes a sort of form of brown vinegary soup, which the Jamaicans call Dunder, and as I say, the cane juice guys normally call Vinasse. And this has got 20% of that and 80% cane juice. And then this is a normal 28-day. So 28-day fermentation then. And the nose, you'll notice, is distinctly different. It's even more solvency to me. I'm getting a lot of glue now.
It's like benzene extract.
Like serious glue now. and a lot of very volatile stuff that wants to burn your nose and make your eyes water.
I feel vinegar and old butter.
Oh, this is sour.
Tartness on the finish.
And then, on entry into the mouth, I get sourness. Is probably the most extreme initial reaction for me. Even more than an alcohol impact, it's more sourness to me. This is a lot more vinegary than I remember our high ester being. But most of our rums are getting more and more acidic, which I think, look, distilleries also, you get these colonies of bacteria and bugs that take time to settle into a distillery, and they colonize the place. And I think there's a certain amount of that happening here. Was this only 28 days? It does taste like it could have gone longer than 28 days. On the nose, I get a lot of alcohols and sort of volatile stuff on the nose.
Soft, like those red olives that you find in a salad.
And like a salty, briny kind of aspect.
What do you do with this kind of palette later, after? What are you using for?
This. Look, this is sold as high ester. Look, obviously we're a very small distillery, so our batches fluctuate quite a bit. One batch is never the same as another one. So I mean, you can distill the same fermentation batch in our two different stills, which are almost identical, and they come out quite substantially different. So like I say, for me, this is exceptionally sour. For our original high ester recipe, this is very sour, sourer than usual, which I think is really good for ester formation, because esters are formed with the combination of acids and alcohols. So I think this in cask would do very well. I think this would age very nicely in a barrel. And then of course some crazy guys want to drink it as is. So we don't bottle a large amount of this as white rum. There are very few people that that want this. So a very limited amount will go to white rum bottling, and the majority of it will go into cask, either as is or as a blending component with other rum. So, I mean, I would probably like a white rum that's a combination of the select white we had first, blended with a bit of this. I would probably like that more than either of them on their own, as a white and probably as a cask filling option. So look, but we're experimenting a lot with different casks. So we will do some casks with this entirely and other casks with this blended with other white rums. We are still very, very young as a distillery. I mean, you look at other big distilleries, Jamaican distilleries, they're a couple of 100 years old. So they've had a long time to decide on their marks and their procedures and which casks they fill with what blends of rum. And we're still figuring a lot of that out. We are still developing all that stuff, experimenting, trying. I think most of the distilleries in the Caribbean, when they were 8 or 10 years old, they were also still experimenting and trying new stuff, which is very much where we still are. So, yeah, this would go to me into a blend for barrel aging, or into a blend for white rum. We are having more and more people approaching us for crazy, big, explosive white rums. So yeah, this would be blended for me into your cask filling stuff or white rum. But as I say, mostly into barrel. Yeah, we'd like to hear what you guys think of it. It's quite extreme stuff, but tell us what you think.
Do you
Send
know
this to the daiquiri contest? Because this
Sorry?
one's send this one to this daiquiri contest because this one's really distinctive. It's one of a kind, really.
Yeah.
I was waiting for next person. So Christopher, I'm not the only one to blame.
I guess we're going to say that about each one, right? Because it does change a lot as it's greasing. So the
At
first
this rate, we'll need a dedicated MHOBA daiquiri contest.
Maybe.
that could be it. That could be a good one. That could be an interesting one.
I'm starting to hate you. Remember, guys, this is a lot of work with this project.
I hate daiquiri. I drink 52 daiquiri drinks. Thank a lot.
72,
Most
50
of us did
plus
that.
20.
Most of us did that.
Yes,
what
most of us.
I drink solo, not in daiquiri. Dairiki. Daiquiri, okay. Dairiki.
Robert, do you know the ester level or the congener level or even an approximation of what this is?
Absolutely no idea. No, really, we don't.
Between 0 and 1,600.
We are.
Oh,
yeah,
I think more. I think more.
We're
I
not
suspect
sure.
the only person who knows would be Luca Gargano because he probably tests everything and hides the secret database that only Daniela can look into.
Yes, exactly.
We have seen something similar to them quite recently, which it wasn't entirely that though. It was a blend of a couple of whites, and this is a select white. I've already blended it. Yeah. We don't know. In fact, even the last bottling by Luca didn't have an ester count on it. It had a total congeners on it, which was pretty high. It was compared to something else. I don't remember what the other rum next door was.
700 to 800. It was Renegade.
Renegade and us, yeah. I can't recall. But we're quite limited here in South Africa in terms of labs and sort of knowledge of things like esters is quite limited here. So we have found a lab that looks like they may be able to test for us, and we're quite excited to start doing that and then putting the actual numbers on the bottles. But up until now, we use our palettes as our compass, and we proceed forth in the direction that our palette tells us. So no, we don't actually know what the ester count is, but we have a feeling it's fairly high. Again, it's like I don't know. I don't really want to be guided or chase numbers or anything. If it's nice, it's nice. And if it's what we like, we'll make it. And more importantly, if it's what you guys like, we'll make it. Because people have to buy it. If you make crazy rum that no one buys, then you won't be doing it for long. If people don't buy it, yeah, it's not sustainable, and you can't keep doing it. So we obviously want to make crazy stuff, but not so crazy that no one wants to drink it. So it's quite a fine line.
That won't be the problem, definitely.
Okay, so drink like.
Yeah, Pavel.
You should test what is the craziest people can drink. They're like tasting 500,000, 2,000, 5,000. What is the limit when people tap out that they cannot handle it anymore?
There is no limit.
An ester tolerance contest.
We will drink everything.
There are hottest peppers eating, like chili eating competition. Who can handle the most? We can do the same with Esther. Like Jamaica is not allowed to do that. You can do it for us.
That would be massive. But we can buy the tickets if you want right now.
Okay, guys, can we go to the next one? Or you want to ask something?
I like that. It's nice. Okay, where do we? This is GH.
The next one is KN49, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, on playlist it is.
Yes, KN49.
Fresh glass.
Which is a daisy now. Thanks. Okay, so this is Sheldon's creation. One of his creations. Sheldon has produced several creations. So he has kind of luckily embraced my initial idea of kind of using Jamaican rum making style with, broadly speaking, with cane juice rum. So taking cane juice rum and applying Jamaican kind of principles and ideas, broadly speaking. And he has, liked what we've been doing so far and has pursued it further. And this is one of the things he's come up with. I sent him an article about the cousins process, which is a very famous recipe for Jamaican rum making, and he's pretty much followed that, but again on a juice basis. So in other words, he would have done everything, not everything, but a lot of what the cousins process prescribes, but doing it with not molasses-based danda or rum or anything, just our own cane and juice. And it produces basically a type of vinegar, really, that has got quite a lot of local organic content in it. So cane trash, which is the leaves and the toppings of the sugar cane. So when you harvest sugar cane, the top sort of third or quarter of the stalk is not useful. It's the growth point, and there's no sugar in it, and it's very green and grassy. So we cut that off, and then the lower leaves also get pulled off by hand, which is called detrashing the cane. And then the bare stalk is what's used to make rum. Now the trash is all the leftover stuff that we leave on the fields. It's the tops and the leaves. So he's put some sort of compost. Were they green or were they composting? Really green cane trash, so fresh leaves and tops. He put in there, and then he put some soil in there. Not in the rum, guys, don't worry. In the vinegar now. And what else was there? Cane tops, trash, bagasse from the cane, from the juicing process, the leftover bagasse. There was soil, cane vinegar, which he produced prior to that, which was a rather like time-consuming, lengthy process. And then what else? That's about it. And then he makes a very rotten mush out of that. And then he puts that into the tank instead of danda, basically. So it's kind of a replacement for danda. And the fermentation period was 14 days. So only half of what our normal high ester is fermented for, 2 weeks. But as I say, that the acid content is now a different source. It's not just normal danda. It's cane vinegar pumped up with some soil and cane trash and bagasse.
And obviously the cane vinegar is from your cane juice, just left. How long do you leave it to
that was quite a process. It went for a good couple of weeks. So initially what happens is it makes alcohol. It ferments like one of our rum batches would. So it starts out fermenting exactly like one of our pure juice ferments would. And then that sort of tops out after a week or 3. And then you've got no more sugar left for the yeast to eat. And the alcohol content starts getting quite high. So the yeasts start to die off from alcohol, but I think mostly from a lack of something to eat. There's no more sugar. So they expire. And then the bacteria, obviously, as the yeast die off, the bacteria get stuck in. And then you actually get a specific form of bacteria that eat alcohol and turn it into acid. So,
so the alcohol drops back to zero, does it?
Yeah, I don't know zero, but you get very close. I would imagine it drops off slowly with time, and as your vinegar sourness increases, as your acids increase, your alcohol drops off. So, how old was it when we put it in here?
6 weeks.
6 weeks old. So the vinegar had been going for a month and a half when we put it in here.
So in this one, it's only the mushy, moldy, vinegary part. No actual dander.
No dander, no.
Okay, thanks.
So this is just a vinegar combined with, as I say, quite a lot of local organic stuff, being the cane trash, bagasse, and soil, which gives you lots of scope for terroir here.
The normal juice is definitely more.
It's brilliant fun how they're all so bold, but equally so different. And it gives you levers for what you want to use for blending, to put into a cask to age.
Exactly. Well, we're kind of going through the process, I think, which probably all of these big distilleries did, or a lot of the big distilleries did in the old days, when they were deciding on what their marks were and what their specific recipes and different styles of rum were. So they would have tried all these crazy things and come up with recipes they liked and blends of marks they liked. And as you say, it's like a painter having another color on his palette to paint with.
So how many marks have you chosen? How many marks have you called so far?
What? 0 officially. So well, we've got our first one. Our first one is the select white, which I think will always be around. I mean, to me, it's a really cool white rum, and it's, as I say, probably our purest expression of our cane. It's like an unadulterated alcoholic expression of our sugarcane. We intervene as little as possible. It's for us a fairly short ferment, and it's as I say, meant to be an untarnished representation of our sugarcane, a tribute to our sugarcane. Whereas these other rums, obviously, we're starting to dabble with and add acids and ferment for super long times and pushing the boundaries in terms of crazy flavors and stuff we can come up with. But I guess the select white will always be around. I don't believe we'll ever not make that. It's as I say, it will always have a place in our portfolio because as I say, it's a basic expression of our sugarcane, and I don't believe that'll ever go away. I don't think we'll always only make high ester rums. So, and then our original high ester will probably also always be around. So I guess we will maybe call those our first 2 marks, I guess.
But talking about other, don't you have names for some other recipes that you did few times?
We have, yes, but nothing that I would say we're going to cast in stone and say we'll always make them. Look, these new ones that Sheldon's made now, I must admit, they are growing on me. Initially, I told him, no, you're making vinegar here. You're not making rum anymore. But all of these things are growing on me. I mean, these things, if I tasted the rum we're making now 10 years ago, I would have been revolted. I would have hated it. But these kind of crazy things, you got to grow into them. I don't know. It's like a process. You kind of learn to like them. Sheldon is a rather odd person because he's very young and he already loves this crazy stuff. Like, I don't know where he came from, but he has this odd ability to appreciate really far out crazy shit at a very young age, young and tender age.
How young is young?
He's 22 now.
24.
24 now. Oh, sorry. He's 24. He's 24.
So
He was 22 when he came here. That's why. Yes. So he's 24.
I'm crazy too.
Totally. Absolutely crazy. There are not many of you guys, but you are all bonkers. So what do you think of this one? I think I actually prefer this.
On a very like a very tart apple, and the finish like Granny Smith apples.
It's a bit more subtle to me. The GHE was very aggressive and harsh to me. This has got a slightly more subtle. The sourness is still very much there. It just feels a bit more polished and refined. I don't know. It's got a really nice tang to it. I love the tangy tartness to it. And there's a bit of acetone and alcohol, which I mean, I always love. A bit of alcohol burn combined with some nail varnish remover. That's got to be there. It's not there. It's not real rum.
But sourness comes later, like in the finish.
Yeah, you're right. It grows, it develops. Whereas the first one, the sourness hit me straight away. You're quite right. The sourness evolves a bit.
For me, this one's acidic and the other one was sour. That's the difference.
Yeah. You're quite right. It's a more subtle acidity.
For me, it's quite fruity at the beginning. It's like I would say like raisiny, like grapey, raisiny kind of vibe to it.
It's a fruitiness.
Grape husks.
Quite right.
I find the acidity like more like lacto acidity, like some fermented milk product.
Okay.
Yeah, in the beginning I feel something like bananas, fresh bananas, green bananas, and a lot of yeast in from the malolactic conversation from the wines.
Yeah. It's amazing how they're kind of similar animals in some ways, but they're also quite different. If you really get down to it and analyze them, they're actually very different.
Robert, you mentioned that everything now is wild fermented. You don't use any added yeast.
No.
With the select white, do you add anything in there, like any bits of bark or bits of the bits of cane at all to introduce any yeast into it, or you don't need to? Enough.
We don't need to. Just from the yeast living on the cane. I mean, if you sort of scratch the outer sheath of the cane sticks with your fingernail, you get this white sort of powdery stuff coming off, and I think there's quite a bit of yeast in that. And when we crush the cane, obviously there's quite a lot of contact between the juice and the outside of the cane stalks, and I mean the fermentation starts within minutes. It's quite incredible, especially when it's warm, like in summer. We have ridiculously hot summers here, and the fermentation's within sort of half an hour. It's bubbling away. And that's without any introduction of any or any inoculation or anything from a previous batch. A lot of distilleries carry stuff over from a previous batch and actually kickstart the next batch with a portion of a currently strongly fermenting batch. But we don't do anything like that. It just each batch starts on its own and ferments under its own steam. From yeast that were on the stalks present that produced that juice. So, which is possibly also why we get quite a lot of variability in our batches, and we may well get more consistency if we were carrying over portions of batches to new batches to get the fermentation, kickstart the fermentation. But what we're doing now is, I don't know, I like the sort of slight variability of it, and we make many different types of rum. So we also, there's a lot of involvement from our side. It was always me. I'm quite glad now that I can have a bit of a holiday, and I found someone who has a great palate who can hand over the chalice take over the chalice in terms of tasting. And there's a lot of involvement from our side in terms of what goes into which rum, which is another reason I think our rum is quite special, because we really each barrel is a bit of a creation on its own. It's not like we fill a big tank with rum and then fill 50 or 100 or 1,000 barrels with the same blend. Sometimes we do fill a tank and then fill 4 or 5 barrels perhaps with one blend, but that's quite often not the case. We fill barrels from carboys, which are 25-liter bottles of rum, and you kind of start filling it, you taste it, and you adjust each fill as you go along. You actually taste the rum in cask and decide it needs a little bit more heads in it, or it needs a little bit more tails in it, or it needs a little bit more sourness in it. And as I say, each cask is kind of a creation. And we fill barrels one at a time. And as I say, there's quite a lot of thought and planning that goes into each and every barrel. It's not, and white rum blends are the same. We taste each cut of each batch and then decide which rum should go where. What should
do you have some recovery process if there's so much variability? If it turns out you don't like some specific batch and like these small adjustments of blending is not enough, do you have like a backup solution what to do? For example, I know that Josh from SBS, he has this Compañero or Patrimonio range that like if it doesn't work and it's not something he'd like to SBS, he just sends it there. Do you have like a dump for the rums that are not good enough?
Yes, it's called South Africa.
Pavel, Josh with us here now.
But I hope Alex is not listening to this. Anyway, so no, we double distill the rums. Look, when I say there's a lot of variability, there is. And I was saying to Sheldon the other day, I mean, it's been a really long time since I tasted some of our rum that I thought, wow, this is really horrible. I mean, we don't make horrible rum. It's like some of it's much better than others, but the less exciting rum, I mean, the worst rum we make is sometimes not that exciting. Then we often double distill that. And people here want very mild, light, kind of Bacardi type style rum. They don't want intensity. They want a fairly flat, profile-wise, easygoing, light rum. And we double distill it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad rum. It's just not exciting. It's by my standards, a bit boring. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's not necessarily bad. It's just not wildly exciting.
There's a lot of people with boring taste, so they will buy it.
Well, that's what we do here. Our rum sold in SA are very mild. Like very few people in SA would drink the stuff we're tasting now. I mean, there's very few people in the world that will drink this. But in South Africa, they're probably 5 guys that I know of, and 2 of them are in this room. So, yeah, I mean, the market is very, very limited for crazy rum. So, yeah, we sell our milder rums here, our less interesting rums. We do have a distributor here, Navigate World Whiskey, and he's buying really good stuff. He's got a great palate. He selects really nice stuff. But as I say, the sort of more run-of-the-mill, the cheaper rums here that are not sold through them are double distilled, and they're not bad. They're just not crazy exciting. They just are more boring stuff. Not all your rums always going to be great. Some's better than others. But I really can't remember a batch that I've tasted that it was horrible, like really bad. I mean, it doesn't really happen anymore. And even if it's not great, you just redistill it with a bunch of other batches, and it comes out, as I say, pretty mild and easygoing.
And another question, going back to hot summers, I know that your high ester from summer and high ester from winter are completely different processes. Do you change your process also for other marks?
No, I wouldn't say the process is entirely different. It's just fermentation times take longer. So the process is similar. It's just duration. Obviously, everything happens quicker in the summer when it's warm. There's obviously more energy around, so all your reactions happen quicker. And I think your population of yeast is more, like your microbes living on the cane are more in summer because of the elevated temperatures. We also have summer rainfall, so there's more humidity. There's just more life around in summer. So I think you're introducing larger populations of yeast into the juice when you juice it, number one. And then number two, the temperature's higher, so it just ferments quicker. But I wouldn't say the process is totally different. It's just a longer duration in winter. And I think that pretty much applies to all of our rums. So not only the high ester, everything takes a bit longer in winter to happen.
It's summer for you now, isn't it? What's the temperature in Umbulungalanga?
It hasn't been too hot. We've had an inordinate amount of rain. We've had the most rain I can remember here for a long time. So it's still probably 25, 26 now. I don't know. It's
28 today.
28, Sheldon says today. But that's a rainy day. So we've had a couple of days of 45-ish recently. I think even a 47. I think we had a 47 a while ago. So it can get pretty piping hot here, which I think is really good for the maturation. I say to Sheldon, every day that we're over 40, I think the rums, the cask gets 6 months older. So I think these really hot days really do make a big difference. Again, speeds everything up, a bit like the fermentations. The maturation obviously is also a physical and chemical phenomenon that is happening inside the barrel, and I think all of those actions are just quicker when there's heat. I mean, the difference between continental and tropical aging is well known. I think we just a step even further in the same sort of direction.
Do you know what you're getting in losses when you're up in the 40s? Like if it's the angel share must be enormous.
Look, our humidity is quite high here. So I think that kind of pressure keeps a lot of the water content back in the barrel and stops it from evaporating. But I think our losses are pretty high. We've often been asked this, and it's quite a difficult thing to actually very accurately determine, and we've never really made the effort, because I mean, to do it really accurately, you've got to fill a barrel to the brim. In fact, what you should really do is weigh the cask empty, then fill the barrel to the brim, and then usually the next day quite a bit's disappeared, soaked into the barrel, and you should then keep topping it up till it stops absorbing rum, and then obviously weigh it again full, and then give it a prescribed amount of time, preferably a year, and then weigh the whole shebang again, which we, as I say, it's quite a lot of effort and time. And when you've got which we were like 200 or 300 casks, to do that is quite a lot of work. So we know it's high, but we don't know exactly how high. Barrels we've sold before, particularly to Lucum in the first sale to Velia. We did a lot of measuring and trying to work out what the losses were, and that's when I realized it's actually pretty flipping difficult to work out what it is accurately. And it varies greatly from cask to cask. So like some casks just tend to mature better and quicker than others. Some are going to give you much higher losses than others as well. Some of them are just more permeable than others. They're all different. And you'll probably pick up a difference between American and French oak as well, European oak as well, I'm sure. But yeah, no, to be honest, we have not ever done it really accurately. But I'm pretty certain it's well over 10% on the first year. And then it will obviously drop off slowly from there, but it's high. I don't think you're ever going to get sort of the temperatures we have and not have substantial losses. You will. But yeah, as I say, I would be lying if I told you I knew exactly what it was. And I guess to quote a figure, you would need to take a whole number of barrels and average it, because as I say, some barrels will give you substantially more losses than others.
Okay, guys, any more question about this one? Can we go to the next one? Because after the fourth one, we will do a little break with trying drinking, and I have some pictures about what I'm asked. I will ask Robert to say something how it looks like in the distillery. Okay, yeah. So
cool.
The next one is
the 1.5 GHE.
Yes.
Which is the same old GHE, in other words, Greaves High Ester, named after yours truly. But it's another one of Sheldon's inputs in that he started making molasses rums at home on a very small scale. He was buying in molasses and doing little ferments, and got a little dunder tank going, and started producing some very, very nice, on a tiny scale, some very, very nice molasses-based rums. And that's how he got his job here, by making me taste it. And it's really, really good stuff that he was making. And one of his tricks was to do what he calls a 1.5 distillation, which is kind of halfway to a double distillation. It's just taking previously distilled rum, single distillate, and then blending that with wash, with fermented wine, and then redistilling it. So that's exactly what this is. This is 1.5 GHE. So it's, in other words, it's the same high ester that you tried earlier, the GHE you tried earlier, but redistilled with an equal volume, roughly, of newly fermented GHE. So it's GHE wash plus GHE distillate mixed together in a roughly 50-50 ratio, and then redistilled.
Really like this one. Very, very good.
Now this I like.
That's right.
This is
what was the idea?
This is my kind of rub.
Why did you do that?
Why did we do that?
Yeah.
It's actually a very common thing to do. It's kind of like how the retorts work on a double retort pot still. It's a similar idea, where you are including previous distillate with new wash. It's quite a common thing to do with pot stilling, and not only in the rum game, but whiskey, cognac, all sorts of people do it. So it's not an entirely novel concept. It's just I'm very glad you mentioned it, because I never really thought of doing it. But it's just a clever idea to have applied it to what we're doing here. To take the highest, and it generally ups the ante. It just intensifies things. I mean, you're adding concentrated distillate to new wash, and that kind of, instead of just distilling wash, you're distilling wash plus a distilled concentrate, which is a single distillate, and you get more flavor and more character. It usually intensifies things. Not necessarily alcohol-wise. It depends on how you distill it, how fast or how slowly you distill it. But it's generally meant to improve flavor or intensify flavor. Yeah, I haven't tried these in a while. I tried these last year, just before we went on holiday, and I remember loving all of them at different stages. These whites that we're now trying, but this is really nice now. Maybe it's just been the build-up, but this in the K I really like.
Sometimes almost the process more fruity to me.
Yeah.
It's more
yeah.
Sorry, I have a question. I'm not sure if I understood you well. So this one is on the base of melassa?
No. All of our rums are cane juice. All of our rums are 100% cane juice. Well, 100% cane juice. They are all based on cane juice. They can contain vinasse or dunda and cane juice, but everything originates from our sugarcane juice. So no, we make no molasses rums. We never have made molasses rum. I was talking about Sheldon, who now works with me. He used to produce molasses before he came to work here. He was, as a hobby, he was producing molasses rums at his home on a very small scale. So he just introduced this principle of doing a 1.5 distillation, which is something he learned when he was doing molasses rum. So no, it's all juice.
Okay, so now it's clear. Thanks.
So Sheldon is closer to our houses than he thinks. He is. In many houses in Poland, we distill something.
And are you guys allowed to do it or not?
No, only for ourselves.
This is not about is it allowed or not, but we are doing that.
Yeah, we don't care if it's allowed or not. We will do it.
Okay. Cheers.
Yeah, on Polish weddings, the best Polish cytronówka is always something to cherish.
Citron alcohol, yeah.
And do guys like to compete to see who makes the best stuff?
Usually, yes.
With the alcohol level, I think is 70 plus, 60 plus minimum. And you don't feel that, and this is crazy.
Yeah, this one I like. I like this one.
Yeah, this is
So reminds me a lot of those Trinidad rums like shoulder. It's like core dark fruits.
Yeah, there's like an intense, like a concentrate of dark fruit, almost like a.
Very interesting to get.
Oh, you're right.
Like a white rum. I'm getting like a plumminess almost.
Yeah, there's this. I don't know what it is. It's like the intensity of that other stuff was really harsh and sharp. But as Sheldon says, there's like there's a concentrated kind of depth to the mid palate of this rum, which to me is, I don't know, there's something more substantial about it than some of the others. It's got like a depth to it, which is really nice. That's probably what the double retorts do. Yeah, there's to me a mid palate depth to it. It's got a body to it that is just deeper and more complex and more interesting than the others. The others have got like this burn and harshness and like an intensity, sure, but there's like I say, I find it hard to explain, but there's as I say, a mid palate depth to this to me that I really like. As Sheldon said, it's almost like a really rich, ripe fruit, plumminess or something. like a dark red fruit concentrate or something. But I really like this.
Yeah, this one neat for me is the best for now. But I'm super curious about the other unaged, how they will work in some cocktail or when I put some water. So I will do something with it tomorrow or after tomorrow. I'm super curious because this was I think first
This
time
would sit well with nuclear daiquiri.
Yeah, maybe. Let's try
But
it.
nuclear daiquiri.
Yeah.
It's a daiquiri. I don't know if you know. It's a daiquiri that contains rum, usually overproof rum, with chartreuse, which is a herbal liquor, which has 55%, and
It has
falernum
to be
and some
green
lime.
chartreuse, not white, not yellow, right? It has to be green to be
It's
nuclear.
green, yes. So you have rum, the very high proof liquor, herbal liquor, and some falernum and lime.
If you have everything, we can
I
try
have.
to do that the nearest
A little bit of water is fucking good.
Sunday, yeah.
Really liking the finish.
Okay, guys, now I have
Shit.
some pictures from the distillery and I asked Robert to say some words about them. Let me try to share.
I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can see what I'm talking about. If I can't see, then Sheldon can talk.
Can you see the picture?
Yeah, I know exactly what that is.
Give me a second.
Something's on fire.
Can you see another picture now or not?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can. We can.
Okay,
We can.
okay. So this is in the not right turn, all of these pictures, most of them. So so just say anything about every picture we will see now, okay?
Okay. So first of all, this is laminated bamboo, which is what we use to do the labels for some of our more expensive rums. They have a bamboo label and then a bamboo box as well. So this is actually the engraving machine that actually burns the detail into the bamboo. So it's busy engraving the detail into the bamboo, and then it'll cut the labels out afterwards, and then we stick them onto the bottles, which is all quite a labor intensive and slow process. So that's what this image is. It's just showing the red laser head that is in fact cutting the bamboo or engraving the bamboo before it cuts it.
Do you still because I saw some pictures from the past that someone from your distillery do this, I mean put the labels by hand. Every one label was put on the bottle by hand. Do you have some machine now or you do this the same like in the past?
No, we still do it that way. So they are all applied by hand. We have made like a jig or an aligner that puts the labels so they don't go on skew. So it helps you line the labels up, and then you've got to do up little screws and put glue on it, and then clamp them together, and then they stay there for about 8 hours for the glue to dry, and then you take the clamp apart, and then the label hopefully stays stuck on the bottle. So yeah, it's a very slow process. I did it because I really loved what the bottle looked like. And it was great fun when we were doing like 100 bottles. It was okay. But now that we got to do sometimes several thousand bottles, it's it's a lot of work. But it does create jobs, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. One of the prettiest label, by the way. So
Thank you.
I really, really like that. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it's unique, if nothing else. Okay, this is our fermentation tanks. Unfortunately, our fermentation tanks are not big wooden vats like Hamden's. They are, in fact, plastic water tanks. So they are all water tanks that are sort of food grade plastic that are meant to hold water for farms or houses or whatever. And we put the juice in there. And that is a fermentation. I can't tell you what exact batch. I don't know if that's
select white.
Is it a select
I
white?
have some pictures later with more barrels. So maybe you will
Okay.
recognize. Yeah.
Okay. But Sheldon tells me that that is a normal juice fermentation. So it's basically the first run we tried, the select white. That is how it starts. So that's just cane juice with the wild yeast fermenting it. There's no additives there. That is 100% cane juice and wild yeast.
Okay, how much time they need to look like this now?
Depending on the temperatures, like in summer, that could be 1 to 2 days even. But I would
Really?
guess that, yeah, I would guess that 3 or 4 days into the ferment. I'm guessing. I mean, sometimes they bubble right out the top. So it foams sometimes out of the top of the tank. You get foam coming out the top. So that can happen even in the first day. On a really strong ferment, that can happen within hours. But if I had to guess, I would tell you that's probably 2 or 3 days into the ferment, but I'm guessing entirely. Each one is different. Some of them ferment really strongly and others not so strongly. They vary quite a bit. But you can see that there's a lot of fermentation happening there. All of those bubbles have come from the production of carbon dioxide by the yeast down in the wash. So you can see it. They are busy. They are bubbling away, making rum for us.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next one.
Okay, that is the view of a little piece of our plant that makes the sugarcane juice. You can see some of the bagasse on the floor there. That's probably about 2 or 3 hours worth of bagasse that's lying on the floor there. That's like 1 or 2 little trailers. We have small little trailers that we pull behind little mini tractors, and we bring the sugarcane from the fields. These fields that are right here, obviously, are the closest to where we make the juice. And so the sugarcane from the fields further away gets brought there with a tractor on a little trailer. And then we put it through what's called a hammer mill, which is just a whole lot of big metal blades that spin around like this. And they chop the sugarcane up into like a spongy mush. And then the spongy mush gets squashed by a big hydraulic press to get the juice out. And that conveyor belt, you can see there's a very short conveyor belt, just dumps the bagasse onto the ground. And then another project of Sheldon's has been to start composting that. So we have started a compost plant now where we are composting the old bagasse along with some danda. And then we're going to put all of that back onto the fields.
Zero waste.
Yeah. Well, as little waste as possible. There's always a little bit, but as little as possible. And then up on the hill, you can actually see there's a sort of flat roof with a funny loop of pipe coming out the top. That is where the fermentation tanks stand, under that flat roof. And then there's also a little chimney coming out there where we make heat to run the stills. So we actually burn wood and a little bit of a gas sometimes to make heat to heat the stills. So that is kind of the back end of the distillery and some of the sugarcane fields closest to the distillery, and then a piece of the juice press that presses the juice out of the sugarcane.
Okay, okay. This one is
I
the
don't know.
same probably, but yeah.
Okay, that is another fermentation. And that, Sheldon tells me, is high ester. It looks like hot chocolate, but it's high ester.
Okay, okay.
As I said, the yeast can form funny things on top, and they sometimes look different. So apparently that is a high ester ferment. I can't tell you for sure, but it looks. I'll agree with Sheldon.
Okay. So these are your fermentation tanks, yes or not?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I think this one on the right is where Sheldon made the vinegar. Is that the vinegar one? So on the right, there's quite a big brown one on the right that's only partially in view. That has 2,000 liters of juice in it that has been left for weeks and weeks and weeks to make vinegar. So the vinegar came out of there and was then combined with the soil and the trash and the bagasse to make the high ester. And then these other tanks all have, with the ones with the red marks on them, with a red stripe around them, are high ester fermentation tanks. So those are the ones they put dunder and juice in. And then the smaller smaller green ones are all normal 7-day wild ferment tanks.
Okay. People who knows a little bit Jamaican rams, I mean Hamden or Long Pond, whatever, usually are curious about the atmosphere near the fermentation tanks. What is the atmosphere looks like in this place? I mean, mosquitoes or worms or I don't know, any dead animals, how it looks like in your place.
No. You do often find some bits of Africa in there. So there's some steps that come down the left-hand side of the picture. If you come down those steps and you look into the tanks, you often find moths. I often see moths because the moths come at night and they get attracted to the light and then they end up crashing into the tank. We don't deliberately kill anything or harm anything in the manufacture of our rums, but some of them do commit suicide in there. They moths, flies, bees. We have a lot of bees. The bees love the juice, especially when it's still sweet before it starts fermenting strongly. The bees love it. So we usually have, I guess, a couple of hundred bees in each batch. They love it so much they kind of dive in there. Moths, butterflies, spiders. Yeah.
I hate spiders. Okay. Let's go to the next.
You know there was this joke going around in the internet that average person eats like 3 spiders per year or something. So maybe we consume our spiders with our MHOBA RAM.
Maybe.
That's where the statistics come from.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, that is the cane press again that you could see in the first photo. You could see a little bit of it. That is the whole cane press. So that's where the juice gets made. So I think they were not actually producing, I think, when Ivo and them were here. So they actually brought a little bit of sugarcane just to run the press to show them what it looks like. So you can see the trailer there that had some sugarcane in it. They then pass it up to a guy at the top there who puts it through the hammer mill. And the hammer mill, as I say, just basically smashes it up into like a pulp. And then the pulp gets carried up to the right into a big steel tube, and then it gets squashed with a hydraulic press. So it just gets pushed with about 50 tons of force on it to squeeze the juice out, which runs out the bottom and goes into a tank, and then it gets pumped up to the roof that you can just see on the left-hand side of the photo. It gets pumped up to the tanks where the spiders and the moths and the bees and everything are waiting to drown in it. So that's pretty much the press. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that guy looks like trouble.
So this was the turn. This was yeah. Now you're pouring some.
Okay, so when the press is running, that's the juice that comes out. That's pretty much what it looks like. Kind of like a pale green, yellowy, milky type stuff. That is what the cane juice looks like, and it is very nice to taste or drink. The problem is the bees agree, and the bees come there like, yeah, in their thousands. And yeah, that's about it. That's, yeah, the next slide, you'll see that's what it looks like. So that juice has been in there not long, like, I don't know, half an hour at most. And it's already started bubbling, as you can see. So the ferments start almost instantaneously. The yeast that live on the sugar cane are obviously prevented by the sheath of the cane from accessing the sugar, so they can't get any sort of significant amounts of sugar, but there must be trace amounts of sugar in the environment because they live there, obviously in great anticipation, hoping they will get some of the juice that's inside there or some of the sugar. It's a bit like grapes. They're wild yeast living on the outside of grapes as well. It's very much the same thing. Grapes have got a white sort of waxy layer on the outside. So does the sugar cane. And when we press it and smash it up with a hammer mill, obviously the juice comes into contact with that wild yeast, and the fermentation, it starts bubbling almost immediately.
Okay. Oh, this is the same machine. Okay.
So that's just passing the sugar cane up to the hammer mill where they crush it. Tires completely flat. Okay, that's just another view of the hammer mill.
Yeah. Your field. Yeah.
Okay, and that's just a field of sugar cane, and another field of sugar cane. 57. And Sheldon says that's N57 sugar cane. So it's not the majority of what we had so far has been N49. That is just a pile of bagasse, crushed up sugar cane with the juice already extracted.
Another fermentation tank. Another view on tanks.
Okay, and then another, that looks like a pretty old ferment because it's made like a solid crust almost on top. That is the oil heater I mentioned earlier, that we burn stuff to create heat and then make hot oil. And then that hot oil is what gets pumped to the stills. And that hot oil is what causes the wash to get heated up and make rum. And it's what separates the wash from the distillate. And the heat that drives the distillation process comes from this what do we call it? The oil heater. From this oil heater is where the hot oil comes from.
Okay.
And those are my very unique looking pot stills. They are, I don't know, my third or fourth or fifth, I can't remember, iteration of stills. So I built a number of stills over the years, and they were very, very small in the beginning, and they got bigger and bigger, and these are now the biggest running ones. We've got bigger ones, but they have not been commissioned yet. Sheldon is waiting very patiently for us to get the bigger ones running so he can make some more rum and do more crazy experiments.
Okay. This is the same. Yeah.
What is this one? This is what that and that mixed with that.
SW. So the older blend, top one.
Still like it. Here's a. They're both nice. They're different. Can't say I like one more than the other. This is actually like that. Okay, sorry. I'm busy talking to Sheldon about how much I like our rum. These are the bottles that we catch the rum in. So this is in the room right next to the stills, and on the right is a big flask. We normally, well, we always discard the first portion of distillate because you get methanol in there. So the first fraction of the distillate gets thrown away. When thrown away, it gets used as sanitizer and cleaning for cleaning stuff, windows, doors, stuff that needs to be sanitized. We use that first little fraction, and some of it smells absolutely amazing. And I wish we didn't throw it away, but it does smell really good. And then the two bottles on the left are what is coming off of the pot stills and gets captured in these bottles. And the funny red line on the wall is meant to tell them when to change the bottles. So it's like a rough guide. So that when they're roughly half full, the guys must close the little valves at the top and then change the bottle. We just like to have bottles only half full so that we get more cuts out of a batch, so that there's more flexibility in terms of what we can include, discard, blend with. It just gives you more variability. If there's if the bottles are full, then you're only going to get like 2 bottles out of a batch, which we'd prefer to have 4 cuts rather than 2.
And how much is in one bottle?
25 liters. If they're really full, about 26 liters.
26. Okay.
Yeah, they're full right to the top. Yeah. So that is just some of the rum on the floor after having been distilled. And like I say, there's a lot of involvement from our side in terms of selecting. There's a huge amount of input in terms of that. If we just took all of our rum and randomly put it anywhere, you wouldn't be talking to us now and we wouldn't be making rum. So what makes our rum largely special is the personal input. We go through this fairly well, very carefully, and select what should be double distilled, what should go into white rum, what should go into aged rum, what should go into bourbon cask, French cask, some kind of weird like a peated whiskey cask or a marula cask. There's quite a lot of, as I say, input that comes from the rum maker's side, and that's what makes MHOBA largely really good, is that there's a lot of input, as I say, and if we just randomly put any rum anywhere, it wouldn't turn out very well.
This is a glass bottle or plastic bottle?
A glass coated in plastic. So there's a plastic layer on the outside, which just helps them not break so easily.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So it's
Okay,
glass.
and from one distillation, how many bottles you fill? You said 4 cuts?
Yeah, 3 to 5. Let's say on a bad batch you might get 3, and on a really good batch maybe even 6, 3 to 6. So
Okay.
yeah, depending, like high ester we get less, and normal wild ferment we'll get slightly more, because when you're putting dunder or acid in the tank, that portion of the batch is not alcoholic. It doesn't contribute alcohol at all. It's basically occupying space that the wash could have been in. So you get a bit less, and then they also ferment for longer, so you get alcohol evaporating out of the tank to some extent. So your losses on high ester are definitely there, and you could have get 10 to 20% less from a high ester batch than a normal batch.
Okay.
Okay, that is Alcatraz, which is a famous American prison. So that is where we put our convicts away, and they need to stay there for a long time. And hopefully when they come out, they're better than when they went in. So yeah, that is Alcatraz, which is only unfortunately very partially filled. It's probably only about just 10 or 15% full with casks. So there's a long way to go. And then we're going to build another one. So that's, sorry?
How many casks you have now in your warehouse?
Lots of casks, but about half of them are empty, unfortunately. Not the ones you can see there. The ones you can see there are pretty much all full. But there's a whole lot of barrels behind the photograph that you can't see now that are on pallets that are empty. So
okay.
Sheldon is patiently waiting for rum. That is good. Yeah, still most of those are full. All of the ones on the racks are full. And quite a few of the ones standing on the floor, the infill barrels are also full. Not all of them, but quite a few of them. Yeah, what do we've got about 200 or a bit more.
About 200 to 250.
We've got about 250 barrels full now.
Okay.
And then quite a few that are partially filled as well. So if we receive new stock of barrels that are really good, we try and put some rum in a lot of them, and then that just keeps them from drying out so that they stay wet until we are able to fill them.
Okay.
I have a question.
So,
What the
yeah.
oldest room you have on the warehouse?
It's now 72 months. What did you say it was? The oldest rum?
It was 80.
80 months. 80 months is what? About just 6.5 years is the oldest we have. Which is the 2017 stuff that Velia bought. It's the leftover of that. There was, I think there was 1,000 liters that went in. There were some barrels that went in there that we didn't put all of the barrel in. There were like some leftovers. So there was a bit left from the 2017 stuff that went to Velia. And then there's a sherry vat, which is about the same sort of age.
The 80 months is
Is it the 80 month? Okay, so that's 80 months. Then the Velia stuff is 70 something months, probably. Yeah. Okay, so it's 70 to 80 months. One is a sherry vat, which is 1,000 liter sherry vat. It's only got about 400 liters in it now. That's the oldest, as Sheldon says, and then just after that are the barrels sold to Velia. Yeah, the 2017 stuff. Some of our very first barrel aged drums. But we've still got very little of that. But look, the oldest is not necessarily the best. In fact, it's quite often not the case. Older doesn't always mean better.
Are all barrels bought from someone, or do you use some new barrels in your product?
We do have a couple of new barrels, very few, probably about what, 20 brand new barrels.
And the boulders are virgin oak.
Yeah, virgin oak. We've got probably not even about 15. We have about 15, of which you're going to try one of them tonight. One of them in the lineup is a virgin oak, so it's brand new barrel, American oak. It's the kind of barrel that would have put bourbon in, but it's never been used, so it's a brand new barrel.
I imagine it was quite a hassle to order it to South Africa, or do you produce it on the side?
No. It comes from America. It was shipped in from America with some bourbon barrels. So we bought some bourbon barrels from America, and in the container they shipped some virgin barrels as well, some brand new barrels that had not been used, together with some used bourbon barrels. So yeah, it is difficult getting barrels here, but look, I mean, Europe as well, all the bourbon barrels in America get, I mean, In Europe, sorry, all the bourbon barrels in Europe get shipped there from America as well.
I meant like the used one. It was probably a hassle.
Yeah, well, about the same hassle, to be honest, as the used ones. They're just a bit more expensive because the used ones, the bourbon distilleries have to, by law, get rid of them. So they sell them a bit cheaper than the brand new ones.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
What does a new barrel cost?
French oak's considerably more expensive, or European oak. So I mean, good European oak. Look, you can spend whatever you want. It's a bit like saying, what does a car cost? I mean, you can spend whatever you want. There's some crazy like Japanese zebra casks, and I mean, you can spend like thousands of euros on a barrel if you want to. But I don't know. I think it's a bit gimmicky up there, to be honest. I mean, I think of sort of a good sort of BMW, Mercedes Benz sort of expensive but not crazy money barrel is about €1,000 for a 225 liter French oak good cask. €1,000.
Not cheap.
No, not at all. And then the American barrels are considerably cheap, probably about half that, if maybe even less. Again, you can spend what you want. There's some sort of boutique producers that will make much more expensive barrels, and then there bigger producers that thump them out that are considerably cheaper. But the wine farms in the Cape, sort of good wine farms that do really high-end stuff, spend about €1,000 on a French oak barrel.
The bottles and the labels do look beautiful. Just looking at the last picture, they look really fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it, but I do feel they look really unique and different and cool. I mean, I kind of wanted the look of the bottle to say something about the rum and how handmade it is and how kind of authentic it is. I didn't want it to be all glitzy and glamorous and smoke and mirrors and look like. I mean, a lot of these big brands spend more money on their marketing and their presentation than on production, which so they kind of, as Richard Seale talks about, perceived value. They try and make you believe that it's valuable because it isn't really. So they need to make you believe it's a valuable liquid by paying film stars and footballers and whoever else to drink it so that you can also want to drink it. And they spend obviously huge amounts on labels and presentation. I didn't want it to look like that, but I did want it to look special and different and unique, as the rum is.
Especially that bushfire rum I just saw a picture of. That's definitely unique.
So what was that?
Bushfire rum we just saw a picture of. It's definitely unique.
Oh yes, yeah, very much so. This odd contraption is our bottle filler. So and this we only use for like fairly big runs of 1,000-ish bottles or more. We would use this thing to fill bottles. So we can put 5 in at a time, 5 bottles in, and then you push a button and it automatically fills it fills the bottles with a prescribed sort of volume. And it's not all that accurate. So those little stainless steel buttons at the top, you use that to kind of fine tune it and pulse each bottle with a little jet more of juice to get the levels right. Our smaller bottlings we actually do by hand. So you see the coffee filters lying in the tray there. Those are actually widely used for our smaller bottling. So we just put that in a funnel and then pour the rum through the coffee filter and do it with a jug by hand, basically. So a lot of our bottlings are still done by hand. But as I say, that bottle filling machine is what we use if we bottle sort of 1,000 bottles or more of the same stuff.
Okay.
Which is quite rare, to be honest. Okay, this is the new distillery that is taking forever. It's we built it ourselves. We build everything ourselves. We don't get anyone else to do anything. We do everything in-house, which does make it rather slow and tedious, and tests Sheldon's patience. But I think the results are pretty cool. And unique. Again, it's kind of what makes us different, is that we don't buy a Chinese still off the internet. We build our own weird ones, and yeah, that kind of philosophy is, I think, a large reason for our rum being unique and special, is that we do everything our own way, right from building the equipment and the stills and the buildings and pretty much everything.
What is the plan about this big hole in the middle? You will do some of fire there or grill?
Yeah, we're gonna dance in there.
Dancing in it.
Yeah. No. Look, we might, if we taste too much.
I
we
thought
might.
it's a pool, like a pool to
pool,
fill with a
okay.
room.
I like how you think. Good idea. No, before we get into trouble, no, we're gonna bring hot oil in, the same as on the other stills, but you can't unfortunately see it in this photo. But on the right of that hole, there is a big concrete pipe going underneath the ground to outside the distillery, and through that tunnel will come the heat for the stills. So the still heat medium, whether it be air or oil, will come in through that pipe, and then it'll come up in that hole in the middle and then distribute to all the different stills. So it's just basically access. I thought of putting a grating over there at the end. Perhaps we will, but I think it'll just make it difficult to walk down there. So I think there's some steps going down there. So it will just remain a hole in the middle of the distillery.
Okay. And this is the same outside, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's the outside view. And that's on the right there, you can actually see the tunnel that goes underneath the building. Okay, you could. Now, there you go. On the right-hand side there, you can see some concrete vertical concrete lintels. Those are actually on the sides of the tunnel. So there's a tunnel running underground, and that goes into the middle of the distillery and comes up in that hole. And that's where the heat for the stills will run.
Okay. There's your tractor.
Okay, there is a tractor with a plow on the back. And now we're back to the stills again. And there we're back to the tractor.
Sorry.
No problem. So that is the tractor that we just plow the fields with when we plant the sugarcane. So that does what they call pulling the lines, I think. There we go. Those are the lines. So there's sugarcane being planted. Were we planting it? Oh, did you send this? Okay, cool. I was going to say, I didn't know Eva was here when we were planting. So this is planting of sugarcane. So in the middle here is another project of Sheldon's. Well, it's stuff that I've been interested in for some time, but Sheldon has kind of continued with it. And this row down the middle of green stuff, the green stuff is beans. So we plant these beans. They do what's called nitrogen fixing. They actually take nitrogen out of the atmosphere and put a lot of it into the soil via their roots. So it's a way of getting nitrogen into the soil without using commercial fertilizers. So we are trying to do everything as close to organic as possible. And when I say we're not actually using any chemicals, but we will be the first people in South Africa to grow sugarcane organically. So nobody really has a clear recipe for us as to how to do it, because no one's ever done it before. So we are kind of pioneering that. And Sheldon has spoken to people who do sort of international accreditation for organic farming. And yeah, we're pretty much doing whatever we can to try and keep things organic so that when we want to apply for organic certification, we will pass. Because if you fail, obviously you're wasting your time trying to get it. So that's the point of this photo, I think, is to show the planting of the sugarcane, number one, and then these beans that get plowed back into the soil that are very good at adding nitrogen back to the soil without using commercial fertilizers or chemical fertilizers. We do use other organic fertilizers that are not chemical based. They are organically produced fertilizers. And as I say, I think we're the only guys that I know of in South Africa. There are people in Mozambique doing it, but we're the only ones in South Africa doing organic cane as far as I know. Well, trying to do organic cane.
Okay.
So there you can see on the left, they've pulled what they call lines where the plow from the tractor digs these furrows into the ground. They're very shallow. You then cut sugarcane into approximately that long pieces, and then you pack them in the furrow in the ground, and then you just cover them with the soil like that, and then they start to grow. So you actually plant sugarcane to grow sugarcane. You don't plant a seed or anything. You actually plant sticks of sugarcane is what you plant. And on the joint, like here, on the nodes of the sugarcane, you actually get new ones growing out there.
Okay.
So on the joints of the sugarcane, you get growth nodes, and that's where it sprouts to germinates to make new sugarcane. Okay, that's the conveyor belt again back at the press, and that's barrels on the rack.
Okay, and this is the last one, so we can now come back to the tasting.
Back to drinking.
Back to drinking, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now the next one is WEC free, yes?
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I really like this one. I love the wine influence works so well.
Well, this is a controversial one, so we've sent you quite a few crazy ones to see what everyone thinks. We did a wine cask. What was it, last year? Yeah.
Yes.
And it was very well received, which was quite surprising. But more people liked it than I expected. This is our second iteration, basically. It's younger than the previous one. And this is now an unrefurbished wine cask. So our French cask, which is what we've probably won our most sort of acclaim for, is a refurbished wine barrel. So the French cask is ex-Cape Red wines, but the barrel has been opened and then ground out on the inside to remove a good couple of millimeters of the inside of the barrel. And it then gets retoasted with a flame and then closed up, sealed again, and then filled with rum. So it's kind of halfway between a wine cask and a new barrel almost, the French cask. Whereas this is totally unrefurbished. This is just a wine barrel that had wine in it, and now it has rum in it.
So literally might have had little dribbles of wine in it. It was completely, that's it. You pour the wine out and off you go.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't that fresh. I mean, with wine, it's generally the fresher the better. Usually with wine cask, you want to do the transfers as quickly as possible. So yeah, as the wine gets dumped, you want to fill it with whatever you we unfortunately did not have the opportunity to do that. So this is quite an old barrel, and it did not happen immediately. So it's not no, there were no dribbles of wine in there. I can guarantee you it was dry as a bone when the rum went in there.
How far away are you from Rust on Red?
Well, about 2,000 kilometers.
Oh, okay. It's not around the corner.
No. And yeah, we kind of out in the sticks here as well. So transport is a big problem. Getting stuff here is pretty pricey because trucks don't have return loads or anything like that. So if they come down here, they haven't got much to haul back. Yeah, there's obviously a much stronger wine influence than our normal French cask. So there's a lot more wine to it, and it's definitely got like a sourness to it as well, which I think comes from the wine in the cask. It's obviously not super fresh. It's also partially vinegared.
Also, the blend of white that went into here is a combination of normal 7 to 10 day select white and sour cuts of select white.
So there was some sour in the rum as well. It wasn't entirely normal 7-day ferment. There was some high ester type rum in there that had some sour aspects to it. But yeah, there's definitely a rich raisin type character for me, like perhaps a smoky raisin. Something slightly like medicinal, like.
I think that's from the aged, the cask that's aged a bit for having a fall. It's also a single variety cask, so it's only comprised of N49 sugarcane variety.
But this is actually improving. I must admit, I tasted this a few weeks ago, and I wasn't weeks, probably months ago, and it wasn't. How old is it now?
Now the sample they're tasting is 12 months old. That was 13.
12 months. So we're at just over a year now. Okay. How full is it?
Quite full.
Okay.
It's about 90%.
Because I think that the other wine cast that we did previously was only partially full. It was never full. Which I think also was an advantage. But I think this is getting a bit of that nuttiness as well. There is a nuttiness appearing. The previous red wine cask we did had a strong nut, like creamy nuttiness to it, which was quite unique. And this, I must admit, a few months ago when I tasted this did not have that. But I kind of feel it might be starting to make an appearance.
Which on that mid palate it starts to develop creamy nuts. Macadamia.
It's nowhere near as intense as the other one was, but it's coming.
I take my time. Just feel like the rum is competing with the cask a bit better.
Yeah, this is obviously a very new venture for us, the unrefurbished wine casks. It's again something we've kind of, well, I've grown brave enough to tackle. I must admit, the previous one I wasn't crazy about, and then Sheldon announced that he loved it, and it made me look at it with new eyes. And yeah, it's growing on me now as well. It's again, it's quite odd, but in a good way. I don't think we would drop everything else and only do this, but it's not a bad idea to allocate some of our rum to this. As I say, it's growing on me. And I know there's a lot of a lot of interest in sweet wine casks in the rum game. Lots of people are tending to really like sweet wine casks, usually like fortified wine type barrels. This is obviously just normal red wine. There's not been any sugar or other alcohol or anything like added to it. It's just red wine, dry red wine casks. There's a lot of silence, which is either good or very bad.
No. It's silence, of course, silence, but many people.
It's goddamn strong.
It's goddamn strong.
Something from the chat.
It's like Slivovitz.
like a plum.
Yeah.
And,
there is a dark red fruit, definitely, yes. I get like, I think raisins, like dried grape raisins. Yeah.
Actually, it's very close, in my opinion, to traditional Slavic spirits straight from the fruit garden.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like this one.
But I don't feel alcohol in sample 5. 68? Almost 69%
Yeah.
ABV?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what this is at? 69.
Like a water.
It's dangerous. Be
It's
careful.
dangerous, exactly.
French glasses you think after this.
Okay.
Very nice for me.
I really like this one. Can we go to the next one?
Yes, sure.
And this is VO4. 68.5.
Another breakfast rum.
So you have to add some cornflakes.
Cornflakes.
Cornflakes was burned.
Looking dark. Is this a virgin?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So this is quite dark in color. As you can see, it's considerably darker than anything else we've had so far. And you can, well, I get quite a lot of vanilla on the nose, which is often an American oak signature.
But what's inside? Is this virgin oak?
Yes.
Yeah, you put a different color in your glass, Robert.
It smells like a little bit of whiskey for me. Not the whiskey, bourbon. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is basically a bourbon barrel. This not an ex-bourbon barrel, but it's the kind of barrel that bourbon would have been aged in. So it's a virgin American oak barrel, brand new virgin barrel, which is exactly what a bourbon distillery would use to put their bourbon in.
It smells like a lot of desserts, like vanilla, cinnamon,
Yeah.
all those desserty notes you get from the bourbon.
Smells like a creme brulee to me. It's like a dessert.
Like a fudge, I believe it's in.
In first smell, I feel a bourbon.
Yeah.
On the nose. But
there's a lot of bourbon. I don't get the corn notes of the bourbon, but I get the American oak. Look, we used to working with American oak because our staves that we put in the glass bottles are American oak. So it's got a very signature American oak vanilla. There's a lot of vanilla to me that comes off of American oak, and that's one of the main things I pick up immediately is the new wood vanilla.
Candy apple. Candy apple.
the new wood impact is obviously very powerful. What will you
Yes.
do with this cask afterwards? Because this will have, you know, a fascinating kind of legacy where you take it next.
Yeah, well, I've said to Sheldon, I mean, I really like this. It's you get there are a lot of woodworms out there, guys who just love woody spirits that are exceptionally woody. But to me, I mean, it's interesting, it's really nice, but it's not going to necessarily make a great rum. I mean, to me, a great rum should be a sort of harmonious, sort of balanced blend of rum and cask influence. You don't really want the one to overpower the other. I mean, if the rum does all the talking and there's no cask influence, I prefer that, to be honest, than to the cask overwhelming the spirit. If the cask totally overwhelms the rum and there's no more sort of remnants of sugarcane character, then it's not really a rum anymore to me. It's just a wooded spirit. So I don't want it to go there. I really like this. It's nice as is, but I said to Sheldon, I don't think we should leave it much longer. It's ready to perhaps go somewhere else where the wood doesn't completely dominate it. And you'll sell it. I mean, even if it is exceptionally woody, you will sell it. Someone will buy it. But I don't know. As I say, I would like to make spirits that are a balanced kind of expression of rum and wood. This is already largely wood driven. But yeah, we are going to move. We've got a couple of these virgin barrels, and I think they're all going to be moved on to older, flatter casks that have been used a lot. Like we've got these South African whiskey barrels that have been used several times in South African spirits making, in South African whiskey making. And there's very, very little wood influence left in them, but they have a lot of very nice old whiskey character, which something like this I think could do really well in there, where you put it into the whiskey barrel and it's gets almost no wood impact anymore, but there will be a strong influence from the whiskey, and it will hopefully just get more complex and pick up a bit of whiskey influence, and yeah, just age further in the whiskey barrel. So there's several. We've got old brandy barrels that are similar. Also extensively used in the past in the brandy industry, several fills of brandy at sort of 10, 12 times, 10, 12 years per fill. So they, again, are very much leached of any wood influence, but there's some really ancient brandy in there, kind of like old cognac casks from France. They largely only give you brandy influence, almost no wood. Yeah, Stuart, I think you're right. These need to go somewhere else now, and continue their journey.
The cask, obviously, it's now a first fill rum cask, MHOBA rum cask. Would you ever sell it to something else? Would anyone else want to put their Calvados in it or something?
For $1 million, yes. No, I lie. No, look, we would. I mean, if someone wanted to swap us a Hamden cask or a Long Pond cask, I would certainly consider it. But I wouldn't like to give them away. No, we're certainly going to look after them as far as possible. But there are some interesting talks with people in Europe who have got other interesting Jamaican stuff and Caribbean stuff that we would like to dabble in as well. And yeah, we may look to swap them for something, or some of our other barrels for something else interesting. Yeah, and we'd probably not sell or swap all of them, but some of them perhaps. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of your old barrels one should hang on to. Quite often your first fill is not going to be the best. You could well get far better results from subsequent fills. Again, something we're still too young to really know about, but having spoken to more experienced and learned people, seasoned casks are often worth keeping. New wood is often not the most exciting stuff. It's, I mean, this is really nice in its own way, but it's actually quite easy to make. That's the thing. This is quite easy for somebody else to do. You can put a fairly mediocre spirit in a good new bourbon cask, and you'll get similar results. There's nothing particularly unique or MHOBA about this, although we actually tried something else really wooded, very wooded, similar to this, very much wooded in new barrels from a Caribbean distillery, and this was actually surprisingly rummy in comparison. So I was saying that I really felt that the rum had been drowned out by the wood already. And somebody who was visiting the distillery gave us a sample of something else, also aged in virgin casks, and the MHOBA was surprisingly present in this compared to the other stuff we tried.
Well, as you found earlier on, you've got a very distinctive profile of rum, so it gets
yeah. A milder rum would be totally wiped out by this. The wood would just dominate it, which can still happen, and I think has already, in my opinion, largely happened. It still doesn't jump out at you and say I'm a MHOBA, because most of our stuff is quite spirit forward and sort of rum driven. I prefer the rum to do the talking and the cask to kind of be a supporting act. I don't know that the cask should be the main event. Look, obviously, in some of your barrels you can do that, and some of your rum can be like that. But I generally want the rum to do the talking. That's what we are, after all, is a rum distillery. And I wanted to scream rum. Good rum.
We have talked earlier about your signature character, and I think this one has the least of that.
Yes,
it's
you're
very
quite
good,
right.
very balanced, very complex, very nice. But
yes.
I very much agree with the thing Pedro wrote on the chat a few moments ago. It's like very least of typical MHOBA there.
Behind him.
This barrel killed the core of MHOBA rum, and
because I
feel
think
the
that
spicy vanilla and a little oak and dark chocolate on finish. But this character is close to bourbon, not a MHOBA rum.
Yeah, because I think as what Robert said is whatever spirit you would put in, like a new virgin oak, it would kind of go towards the same kind of sensory.
It was 27 mode,
right?
Yes? 27 mode?
27 months, yes, quite right. So, look, I agree.
Very long.
It's not my favorite rum by any means. It's interesting, and it's very much a cask expression. It's very nice wood. It's really good. It's a good barrel, and it's as you say, it's largely like a bourbon, but there is still some rum presence. It's just obviously tasting this in comparison to our other rums. It's quite a drastic difference, because our other rums so far have been very much spirit driven, and the whites obviously are entirely spirit driven. So coming on to this,
new barrel are very active, and
yes, very much so. Yeah, I think second or third fill in this barrel could be really good.
Yes.
And that's obviously our ultimate aim, is to reuse them. This was obviously just you've got to use them once to get some rum in there and get some of the wood out. So that's what we've done, and it is, a lot of people will love this. This is actually probably going to be an easy cask to sell, because a lot of people who are not rum fanatics would like this, because they love the confectionery dessert notes that the virgin oak gives. As you say, the vanilla, the chocolate, it's easy to like. It's sweet and appealing to many people. You don't need to be a huge connoisseur to enjoy this. It's easy to like. It's very pleasant, but it's not a great rum.
Okay. Can you go now to the next one? This one is really, really nice for me also.
It's like a dessert.
Yeah.
In blind test, I never said that is MOBA.
Yeah.
Or RAM.
Yeah.
Oh, RAM, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the next one is VR3, which is, Robert?
From our back cask.
VR stands for Fun Rains, which is one of our big brandy distilleries down in the Cape.
No.
And it's a
VR3, sorry. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, VR3, yeah.
Not ART.
So VR3 is initially stave aged stuff. So it was not aged in a barrel initially. It was aged with American oak staves initially. And then it was transferred to a Van Ryn's brandy cask. So it is now currently sitting in a Van Ryn's brandy cask. And we've actually sold a couple of these in the past. A lot of people really like them. Again, there's a lot of wood influence initially, and then it has been transferred to as I say, a very old brandy barrel where there is almost no wood influence anymore. So again, it's got quite a bit of that smoky vanilla dessert type character, which comes from the American oak. And it's in, how long has it been in the brandy barrel?
It's been when they got their sample 12 months.
So it's about 12 months now that it's been in the brandy barrel. So 1 year in the brandy, and there's definitely a fruitiness now. I can just pick
But
that
it's
up.
very dry in finish.
Yeah. Initially, it's very fruity, and then it drops off quite quickly. I get an initial fruitiness, and then it drops off and dries out. Yeah. Yeah, there is a sort of mid-palate grapiness, and then it drops off to a spicy dryness. I get a spicy, dry finish, almost bitter. But I think that's what this other cask would do as well. If we put it in a brandy cask, it would do something similar. Again, it would appeal to the people that like a lot of wood. There are lots of them. And what is the last one? It's the Oddberg. Okay. Well, the next cask is the complete opposite. There's almost no wood in the last one. So the last one, which is coming up now, is the complete opposite. Almost no cask influence. I mean, almost no wood influence, and a lot of previous spirit.
On nose is very nice, but on test is not quite good. I think that too much dry.
Okay. So I get a.
It is a little fruity, but the fruit is
really
very short.
It's totally different.
Totally different. Yes.
I really like that the grape that starts peeking through on it.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It is. It's quite. I think it's quite interesting as well. It's
brings another dimension to a very otherwise woody.
Yeah. It definitely has added some complexity to the woodiness. You can definitely pick up the grapiness from the brandy.
Sorry, but the second taste was good.
Yeah, they always
Always
say you
that.
can't
Always
you
that.
can't
Always that.
you can't trust the first sip. You never trust the first sip.
Maybe I am not too prepared the first.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's much less sweet at the end than a normal, let's say, a new oak would be, right?
Yeah.
It has this very, very even almost savory effect at the end, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I feel a grapefruit peel. So
sorry, Stuart did something there that this you vanished, Stuart. What exactly did you do there? You distracted us all. You did a bit of a superhero move there. We just saw your empty chair.
Stuart, you have to unmute. Because of electricity. Yeah.
Yeah, the cask to me has added a lot of complexity here. There's this mid-palate grapiness, and then it evolves into a sort of spicy, dry, almost bitter finish, which I quite like. I like things that evolve and change as you taste them. Makes it interesting.
Sorry, my battery ran out. I had to grab a charger.
We saw you. There was a thundering noise and then an empty chair.
Oh, was there?
There was. We thought you might have been charged by some kind of large animal or something.
It's a little bit different here in southern London to Bunga Bungalunga.
When I tried the 8-1, this ARD3, and come back to VR3 is getting much better than before.
Yeah, you got to think about
totally
it. It's quite subtle, the difference, but it's there if you look for it.
Yeah,
I really like the VR3. I agree, Chris. It's you can taste the rum and the brandy influence. Everything's working very well together, and it's really makes you want to drink it.
I remember Stuart helped me. This one for 1802 bar was also brandy cask.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't remember now really good this smell, and because I don't have this rum in my place. So, but I'll try it tomorrow.
I'm that tasty though too. But it was only like 70 bottles.
Yes. Yeah, and the first one was 56 or something like that.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one.
I'll be honest, I'm a little bit scared of the last one.
Don't be shy, Stuart.
I really don't like peated whiskey. It's scary.
I love peated whiskey too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of
came from barrel only.
There's a lot of mixed reviews about whiskey, peated whiskey and rum. There are not many people who think they're a good combination, but we got the barrels and we tried. Yeah, most of the people I've spoken to who are spirit knowledgeable have not had particularly good things to say about peated whiskey rum casks, but rum in peated whiskey casks. But anyway, as I say, we got them, so we of course put some rum in them. We got
the opposite option. How the shotman is doing their rum, right, Christopher?
Yeah.
I mean the opposite. So the peated whiskey in rum casks, it's a quite common thing. But yeah, this way around, it's interesting.
Have you had water? Okay.
Yeah.
Are we
He's
brave
totally
enough
freak.
to? Are we brave enough to?
Well,
get
this
the last
one
one?
tastes like MOBA, and this is how it
Yeah,
should be
the
always.
signature is back here.
Which one are we on now? We are three still, guys.
Dry
Next
earth
one.
plants. Oh.
Which one are they
Guys,
on still?
which one was the best for you?
Number 2.
Number 3, yeah?
2 and 8. 8.
For me, I think
2 and 8. Wow.
Yes.
Actually, right on.
Yeah.
8 tasted like a mezcal.
Yes, I remember you like mezcal, yeah.
So Tori is what? Sorry, what did Tori say? 2 and 8.
2 and 8.
2.
Okay.
Definitely number 2, and Tori also said the truth. 8 is also right.
Yeah, 2 for me as well. Yeah.
For me, number 2
No,
also, but also 6.
And 6.
4 and 5 here.
4 and 5?
So
Yeah, 4 and 5 here, definitely.
Yeah,
the
for
guys
me the
hit this
same.
very quickly. They
For me
smashed
the
the
same.
flipping 1-2, no problem. Okay. So did everyone say that the Ardbeg still tastes like a MOBA?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And
At least in the smell.
I think in the smell, maybe a little bit, but in the taste,
In the
I
taste,
never tried
no.
MOBA like that. I think I
I know,
tried
it's-
all of MOBA from the market.
It's weird, but I actually kind of like it. I'm not a huge peat fan either. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I'm not crazy about it either. I don't run around looking for peated casks, but I'm surprised by the fact that I quite like this.
Golden, what do you think?
Krzysztof, you should say that, or I can say that. In my life, there should be something like MOBA and Shotvan. This would be great.
Okay, guys, now you know how hard work is to be a guy like Robert or Sheldon, for example.
Yeah, you need to taste everything.
Yeah, they have to taste everything. They have to
This is the
try. They
easiest
have
part.
to try and again and again and again every day.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, please send
super
us
crazy.
It's like a
rabbit
horror. Yeah,
Could be
like
super crazy because
could
you know,
imagine that?
when you have simple distillation, simple fermentation, column, pot, whatever, and only bourbon casks. Yeah. Okay. Maybe this could be boring, but it's super easier than this kind of work. When you have to be kind of artist, like a kind of explorer guy.
Picasso.
So when I think about that, I'm
for
starting to
me,
be crazy,
Robert is
you
a
know.
creator. Great creator.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
Sheldon is too. I must admit, he has taken off or not where I left off, but kind of where I got going. He has continued in that direction very, very well, I must admit.
What is his thoughts on the peated cask?
I actually quite like it. I think I like odd things, and it's quite odd and it's quite interesting, the combination of the two flavors. Like the smoked meats and smoked like ham almost combining with a very savory and acetone rum. It's quite an interesting combination.
Yeah, it's turned out oddly nice to me. I mean, as I say, I don't know, like peat to me is kind of if I have to explain it to somebody, it's kind of a blend between a dusty cupboard and TCP. Like if you had to open a really, really like ancient cupboard in an old house that's full of spider webs and stuff, that kind of smell of that really dusty cupboard. It's that dry, dusty, like I don't know, the peat gives me that kind of vibe of like a really dry, dusty cupboard mixed with TCP or mothballs or something chemically. Is the closest thing I can come to explaining peat to someone who doesn't know it. And that's the idea of combining that with rum was just a bit weird. But I must admit, I quite like it. It's yeah, surprisingly nice.
The eight tastes like a decay, but is the right naming this word.
But it's
my favorite today, but yes.
But what I like is that you guys say it's still got a MHOBA DNA, it's still got a MHOBA signature, which that's great. That's probably the best news of all.
But Robert, Lucas is a fan of 101 MHOBA, and some days ago he tried first time 151.
Yeah.
And he wrote me a message. Oh, what the hell is that? It's burning everything.
But it's very good.
It's very good, of course, yes.
For me, 101 is the best MOBA. For me, I like it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like what I was saying earlier about like us choosing special cuts of rum, like the Select White. 101 is very much strands, is very much that. It's taking a really woody rum and then blending special cuts of white rum that give you the acetone and the brown sugar and the sort of rum complement to get it just right. It's like someone said it's like it's been chiseled, and that is kind of what it is like. You taste and you blend, and you taste and you blend, and you taste and you blend, and you're taking a really overwooded woody rum, and you adding white rum back until it's just right. So it's a blending exercise largely. And the tasting, you guys feel so sorry for us for. We do a lot of tasting on the 101 and the strands 151 and 101 because you got to keep trying and adding and trying and adding and trying and adding until you're happy.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we are almost 3 hours, so I think we have to finish and switch for the moment on after meeting, after party, kind of after party, which we do every time when we have a meeting like this one. So Robert, you did a good job. You did a very, very good job, both of you. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Don't stop doing that. And now I know how this job is hard, So yeah. So really, really thank you very much. And yeah, if anyone want to ask anything, Robert, this is the moment before he leaves. Where is it? Tori. Yes.
Where can I get a MHOBA t-shirt?
You have to go to Paris, Rumfest Paris.
Okay.
Paris Rumfest.
In the third taste, all of taste, people get MOBA t-shirts.
If I go to Paris,
Yeah.
I get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Polish
You
fan club.
Okay.
Or maybe we will arrange some trip to Republic of South Africa.
When is Paris? What time of year is
Rumfest
it?
Paris.
Yeah, I know, but what time of year is it?
So are you talking about Rumfest or Whiskey Live? Rumfest.
I don't know.
Whiskey
Which
Live.
one?
Whiskey
Which one
Live
will you be
is
there?
we may well be going to Whiskey Live this year, which is normally I think September.
September.
September, yes.
Yeah, towards the end of September in Paris. I mean, it's if you like spirits in general, it's pretty cool because
I'm a bartender, so
it's arguably the biggest spirits event in the world. I mean, it's massive.
yeah.
It's huge.
Exactly.
And there's some really good stuff there from whiskeys, cognacs, rums, all sorts. Obviously, Rumfest is very much rum focused, but Whiskey Live is a really big event. Yeah, so they're both cool in different ways. But yeah, we'll probably go to Whiskey Live this year. I don't think we'll make it to Rumfest as well. We just can't be away that much. So yeah, we've got to choose one. And La Maison de Whiskey owns Whiskey Live, so it's our distributor's event. So they like us to be there if we can be. So I think we'll probably be going to Paris for Whiskey Live.
Okay, any new expression for Whiskey Live this year?
We've just given you all our new expressions.
Tricky.
No, who knows? Sheldon might come up with another weird experiment before September, and then we'll bring you some.
Okay.
But only a little small bottle.
Sounds like enough. Okay, we will be first.
But also, can we set this date as a MHOBA Day Rum in Poland, and also with Christopher every day on this date every year we will be able to have this meeting?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
It should be a tradition.
Cool. An annual event.
It should be a tradition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, one more time.
And then we got to send caps and t-shirts with the samples, and everyone has to be in uniform.
I have mine from Pedro Villanova.
Perfect. Okay, one more time, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And some of people here have to wake up early tomorrow because
Sheldon does. Yes,
they have normal work.
Yeah. So, no, thank you, Chris. Thank you very much for putting this together. It's always fun and well attended, and thank you for making the effort. And Sheldon, thank you. Yeah, thanks you guys for putting this together and getting the samples out and inviting everybody. And thank you all for liking our rum and enjoying what we do and following what we do. And we really appreciate it. If you guys didn't drink our rum, we couldn't make it. So we really, really appreciate the support, and thanks a million.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Robert.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Sheldon.
guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Dobrze, to teraz tak, przełączamy się tutaj.